Hey guys, welcome to Full Stop Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Kime, and today we're going to be talking about something seasonally appropriate, if you couldn't tell by my Han Shot First shirt. We are going to be talking about Star Wars. Now, originally this video was going to be on Revenge of the Sith because I think that movie is fascinating for both reasons within the movie and with how that movie is seen today. But then, about a month ago, Disney threw a curveball at us and announced that they were releasing a number of old Star Wars releases from the vault. So that includes the Star Wars Holiday Special, the Ewoks TV shows from the 80s, and the thing that got me the most excited out of any of them, the 2003 Clone Wars microseries, and I got so excited when I saw that they were finally releasing this on Disney Plus because it really feels like this series was just kind of lost to time, especially because it got replaced only a few years later by the Dave Filoni headed Clone Wars. And don't get me wrong, that series is fantastic, but I think this series is super underrated, and it's honestly one of the best Star Wars releases out there. So to start, the show wasn't really supposed to be that big of a deal. It was a microseries, so it initially aired in episodes ranging from 3 to 5 minutes, and then as the show went on, it grew to about 10 to 12 minutes, but it was never longer than that. It was released in 3 seasons that were eventually combined into 2 volumes, and it's only about a 2-ish hour runtime, so it's a very, very fast watch. Tartakovsky has said that the entire thing was developed in about 2 weeks with a very, very small team of creatives, and it was a very smallish project, and it was supposed to just it was only intended to serve as a bridge for casual audiences to go between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith to just keep up hype and interest. But it was never even seen as canon. Hell, there were EU novels at the time releasing, Labyrinth of Evil being one of the more notable ones, that superseded it in terms of what is canon and what isn't. So even before Disney bought out Lucasfilm and then took the EU and turned it into Legends, this movie wasn't even technically a part of it. And so this series rather, really flew under the radar for a lot of people just because even after Disney bought out Lucasfilm, it was just kind of never mentioned again. But it succeeds on so many levels. So let's get into it. Like most Tartakovsky projects, it has a very specific 2D style of animation, so it really feels like you're watching Samurai Jack a lot of the times. Also, shout out to Primal. Like some of the other 2 shows I mentioned, most of the storytelling comes from the animation and the action rather than through the dialogue. This is a very laconic show. That's not to say there isn't dialogue in it. It features the vocal talents of people who were either mainstays with Star Wars, like Anthony Daniels coming back as C-3PO, or James Arnold Taylor and Corey Burton, both of whom would return for the 2008 Clone Wars series. One as Obi-Wan, the other as characters like Count Dooku, Cad Bane, and Zero the Hutt. The character designs themselves are both fantastic. This is where we meet Asajj Ventress for the first time, and she would get revived and brought back into the other Clone Wars TV show. Palpatine is drawn so creepily in this movie. His fingers are so long and spider-like. It's a very creepy character design, and it's one of the more menacing ones, even though he's very, very soft-spoken throughout the entire series. So it's one of the better portrayals of the character, I think. General Grievous was introduced initially with this series as well, and holy hell, he is terrifying to watch in this series. There's one episode where a group of Jedi are surrounded by a droid army, and Grievous goes in after them alone and starts picking them off one by one, starting with a Jedi that looks like Shaggy. He's terrifying, he's menacing, he can handle the best that the Jedi can throw at him. This is the best that General Grievous has ever looked. You never see this kind of portrayal with him ever again. He was nerfed a little bit in the 2008 series. He was more of a comic relief side villain-ish in that show, and he was just kind of a B-plot villain in Revenge of the Sith. So he really takes center stage with this one. From the character design to the things that he can do with the robot body, it's just to the way his voice sounds, because he doesn't have that cough yet. This series, in one of the funnier moments, actually shows you how he gets that cough with Mace Windu force crushing him. And so that's meant to be there to have a sense of visual continuity with him coughing in Revenge of the Sith. Beyond Grievous, beyond Ventress, this show does a really good job of conveying Anakin's character arc, oftentimes without saying a single word. You see his relationship with Obi-Wan and grow, and it's fraught with tension, but there is a real love there. You see his slow descent into the dark side, like his fight with Ventress on the moon of Yavin 4, and how it's like this really intense red and black color scheme by the time it gets to the end of the fight, and how it's just, without saying a single word, Tartakovsky communicates so much about his mental state, and just the way this is a guy with the weight of the world on him, and how him hiding his marriage is fraying his last nerves, and how fighting in a war is leaving him traumatized. And there's the other scene with the tribespeople that he helps rescue at the end, where again, it's that same idea where it's just he's slipping further and further from his sanity, basically. It invests you into the character, makes you really care about him, and it really establishes him as a sympathetic and tragic character in a way that the prequels didn't always do. So this series really, really helped accomplish what the prequels themselves were trying to do. And I think without this series, and this fully applies to the other Clone Wars series, I think the prequels wouldn't really stand up on their own as much as some would argue that they do nowadays, because there's been a bit of a reevaluation with them. One of the more memorable moments from this series is the scene where Mace Windu loses his lightsaber and has to punch out a entire army of battle droids. And one of the most over the top, but it's such a glorious scene. And it really makes a lot of these characters feel like larger than life superheroes. And you really feel the full scale of the war. And one of the other cool things about this series is that it ends right as the Battle of Coruscant starts. And so it jumps right into Revenge of the Sith. So there's this feeling of momentum that this series keeps up. And part of it is because the pacing is so fast that it really doesn't linger. It doesn't waste time at all. And it's a really, really nice watch. No matter the iteration of the EU, the series was never considered canon. With either Legends or the current timeline, it was always kind of its own side thing. Having said that, I still watch this every time I'm going through the saga. I have it in my headcanon as that it happens. I mean, it doesn't really work. There's a lot of contradictions that this has with the other Clone Wars. But it's such a good watch that I can never in good conscience leave it out. It shouldn't surprise any of you that my verdict is going to be a green light with this one. It's a wonderful show, and I cannot recommend enough. If you like Tartakovsky, if you even remotely like Star Wars, this is one of the best, most underrated projects that has come out of the franchise. Hey guys, thanks for watching this to the end. What do you think about this Clone Wars series? Do you think it stacks up with the other one? Do you think it's worth revisiting at all? I would love to know what you guys think about it and how it relates to the greater Star Wars franchise as a whole. And as always, give us a like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to try to release every Wednesday on Full Stop Reviews. And may the 4th be with you.